Thank you for listening to Life Improvement Radio. You are listening to a rebroadcast of a previously recorded show.
We're live at the Miami Book Fair, powered by Life Improvement Radio, the Author's Corner on the Total Education Network. You can go to my website, totaltutor.net, for more information. Twitter, Total Tutor, Neil S. Haley, Facebook, LinkedIn, Neil Haley, Instagram, Total Tutor, Pinterest, Neil Haley, and Google Plus, Neil Haley. And I'm really excited to continue the Miami Book Fair series live today and tomorrow. We'll be live tomorrow from 11 to 2, powered by Life Improvement Radio, with such some great, amazing authors and also co-hosts. And I have my co-host, Velva, on the line. And Velva, we're excited about our next guest, but I'm really interested in learning about you as well, and I appreciate you being part of the journey today.
Thank you so much, Neil. It's been fun.
All right, so I'm excited to welcome to the program author Bradford Morrow, author of The Forgers. How are you, Bradford, and how are you doing in Miami today? It's a lot of fun?
It's a lot warmer than it was up in New York City when I left the other morning at 22 degrees and caught a plane to come down. So, it's great.
We're having a nice storm today in Pittsburgh, and I was just in communications with one of my clients, and I was like, really? Because I own a tutoring consulting company, and she's like, be careful, it's an ice storm. I said, okay, I had no idea, I guess, being trapped in my office. So, Bradford, is this the first time you've been to the Miami Book Fair, or have you been here before?
Oh, this is my third time. I love this fair. It's really one of the best in the country. I love the Brooklyn Book Festival, and I was up in Boston a few weeks ago. L.A., they're all great fairs, but there's something very special about the Miami Book Fair. It's just so inclusive and diverse, and there's so many different voices here. It's just it's a wonderful fair.
All right, Velva, I think you've seen the years that Life Improvement Radio has been covering the Miami Book Fair. You're amazed by the variety of authors, right, Velva?
Oh, it's just been, I'm terribly impressed. I've just published a book, and someday I hope to be there. And but I'm just excited to know that there's this energy, convergence of literary energy somewhere, because, a lot of people, books are becoming sort of unfashionable, if you want to put it that way. That I think the internet has stolen some of the energy from books, and people don't want to sit down and read. And I think that's I just think that we're going to pay the price for that someday. So the more we can talk about books and read books and buy books and share books, I think the better we are.
Absolutely.
But the Forgers is about books, in fact. So when you say we're losing interest in books, it makes me just cringe, because here's a book about books set in the book world, the rare book world, but readers, and there's a woman in the novel who runs a secondhand bookshop, and so it's all about the whole world of books. I'll tell you, though, sitting here looking out over at the fair, having walked through downstairs, bumping into Edwidge Dantica and other friends of mine, everyone here is just in love with books, and it's a great place for a book lover to be.
And I wish I were there, because I'm a book lover. But and as I said earlier, when Neil wasn't online, I said, I'm going to buy The Forgers. It sounds like a fascinating book, and I'm really into books, and I have a whole community here. As a matter of fact, St. Petersburg. I'm in St. Petersburg, Florida. We're having a book festival, and we'd love to have you come for that. So,
I'd love to come.
Yeah, you'll love St. Pete's. You'll want to come back. Everybody does. I didn't mean to discourage you, but I do think that, when schools stop teaching penmanship, when things like that start happening, it makes me very nervous, I have to admit.
I do. It's interesting, because it's something I've had to think about this last year working on this novel, and I get, because to be a good forger, it's a crime to do a forgery, and obviously there's a nefarious side to that, and it's unethical, and when you bring in murder, then it becomes very dark. But to be a good forger, you have to know a lot of literary history, you have to talk about penmanship, you have to have the calligraphic skills of a master in order to replicate the handwriting of, long-dead authors. And so these people, you have to know about paper, inks, all sorts of arcane things to pull off a good forgery and to get it past the experts. So this is sort of way beyond penmanship. It's funny, people have asked me, now, have you ever tried your hand at forgery, Brad? And I think I can barely forge my own name. I would be the worst forger in the world. But yeah, I think learning how to write and studying the handwriting of others is a fascinating thing. I gave an interview and someone was asking me about personalities and how they shine through their own, people's handwriting. And if you look at, say, Thomas Hardy, you look at his handwriting. It's a beautiful, flowing hand, and you can sort of see how supple his mind was when he went from sentence to sentence. A John Steinbeck manuscript is one that is written very quickly, very evenly. The words are spaced, evenly. He doesn't cross out much. Steinbeck knows what he's up to. Then you go to a James Joyce manuscript, and Joyce crossed out every other word and wrote in another word, and then crossed that word out and wrote in another word. So you get a whole sense of a person's, mindscape and how they think when you look at their handwriting and their calligraphy.
Can I ask you a question, Bradford?
Sure.
Do you believe in handwriting analysis?
Graphology. Well, I studied graphology some years ago just out of curiosity, and there is a little bit to it. Some aspects kind of make sense. Like if the baseline, say, travels from left to right, if it travels down, if you're writing sort of down, it's meant to be that you're depressive. I can see how the physiology of that would work because maybe your hand is kind of dragging on the page, so you'll be going down. If you don't dot your I's, there's like lack of attention to detail. If you cross your T above the actual T, that means someone who, I believe, going on a long ago memory, but I believe it's somebody who anticipates the future. There's probably something to it. I don't know whether, how deep into that you can get, how much you could rely on handwriting analysis to actually, to put together, to frame out a portrait of a person. But there's definitely something to it.
Well, it's certainly not the grounds for a proposal of marriage, right?
No, I don't think so. I wouldn't get married based on somebody's handwriting. I know some very brilliant people whose handwriting looks like a 4-year-old child's. So you really can't. There's a lot of things you just can't tell by handwriting.
All right, absolutely, Bradford. We have to get going. Where can we find information on you, purchase your book, and learn more about you?
Well,
where's the best place to go?
Any independent bookstores. It was selected as an indie next book, so any independent bookstore would have The Forgers right now. It was just published a few weeks ago. The libraries would have it at this point. I would think you'd go to your local library if you don't want to buy one. There are places like Barnes & Noble and Amazon. They have the book available as well. The book is out there, so if you want to have a copy, I think there's a number of places where you can easily get it.
All right, well, fantastic.
It's also available as an ebook too. As an old book lover myself and book collector, I'm still trying to get with the ebook world because I really like paper. I really like the smell of a book. I like the feel of a book in my hand. But it is also available as an ebook. So if someone wants to read it, you ought to be able to find it pretty easily right now.
Well, fantastic, Bradford. Best of luck. Have a blast in the Miami Book Fair, and we'll be in touch soon. Okay.
Bye,
Great. Thanks
Bradford.
a lot, Neil. Nice to meet you both.
All right, take care. You're listening to Author's Corner, powered by Life Improvement Radio on the Total Education Network, and we'll be back in just a moment.
Thank you for listening to Life Improvement Radio. The views expressed by show hosts or their guests are their own and shall not be construed in any way as advice from Life Improvement Radio. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our website. Personal perspectives expressed by the producers, writers, or editors will always be presented as such. Any rebroadcast or retransmission without the expressed written consent of Life Improvement Radio is strictly prohibited. Thanks for listening.